Good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's a yo-yo market. It's up and down, up and down. Um, the other numbers came out today. Don't look any big deal, but anyway, they're just hanging here. There was a little down move overnight, and it's just hanging on support. Looking at the Nasdaq futures, and just put our little line there. Maybe that'll stop it from going lower. I'm kidding. All right, just marking off what's over there to the left, and it's stabilized there for now. It's just marking time, you know, and we'll see. There's a couple of bottoming tail bars, so the reaction down there. You can see the 5 minute, it's pivoting and it's just back and forth. Uncertainty is what's going on. Um, Trump news. Is there other news coming? Um, the decision on the tariffs. I think that's supposed to be today, right? Is it 10 o'clock, Patrick? Thank you. So there's that. Internals are neutral. Breadth improved with the move up. You can see over here. This one is the breadth gauge. It backed off yesterday because it was a down day, a little bit of a down day. So really, there was some selling. But our job, as always, is to just continue to apply our systematic analysis, bar by bar analysis. And I've said it multiple times. Not the whole method, so to speak. I can't do that, right? But the foundation of it day to day is do prices close below a prior day's low. That by itself is not significant. It depends on what prices did before that. Meaning, are they extended? Like if the Russell, which we'll take a look at, closed below a prior day's low, that would imply it's going to go lower. At that point, where's their support further to the left? Was it a momentum move that created a void that opens up the door to potentially going more further down, or does it create support? So there are these questions. So part of our discussion in the green room yesterday, as we were looking at potential trade setup, and the discussion was, uh, I said, well, what do we know? And there are things that we do know that begin to formulate our bias. So what we do know, right, is that this right now is, we talked about this last week, and without, you know, making a case for trend lines, you had this one here, and this is what trend line traders do. They go, oh, it took out that line, but now it's not going anywhere. If it starts moving down, oh, I'm going to draw a new line, and that's really one of the reasons. Not only it's one of the reasons that trend lines are pretty much useless. But our discussion was, when I drew the lines at that time, was that volatility is contracting. And when you have overlapping bars and pivot highs and lows that are coming closer together, and people connect pivots, call them whatever they want, fractals, pivots, dots, or whatever. Anyway, as they get closer together, it communicates that the forces of supply and demand are coiling. They're coming together, and prices are getting ready to break one way or another. Now, the other thing that we know, and everybody knows, and it doesn't matter who you're listening to, unless they got their head in the sand or whatever, they just stuck on the bearish case, is that you've got multiple markets, sectors that made new all-time highs. Call it Dow theory, different things, NYSE, prices moving up, and so on. So, yet the markets can't get out of their own way. They're waiting for some news or whatever it is. So we have choices. We sit on our hands and we wait for something. Well, what is that something we'll be looking for? And I just stuck on this chart. Well, we had a red bar ignored right there. Then we have a bottoming tail bar. And yesterday it even peekabooed above the highs. And it came back in again, but went nowhere. And this, one of the reasons why we look to the left as to what's resistance, and you know, it tagged that pivot high there and backed off. Now, it's not a big deal that it backed off. It's just that that is where the resistance is. It did clear those highs in a bottoming tail bar, so it makes sense for it to go higher. And you got a whole number right there. Again, all of this applies to this contract that I'm looking at, but we're going to apply that. We can apply it to everything. It doesn't matter what it is. So now this is down. You got a support level down here, which so far it's holding. Look at the 65-minute here. You can see so far that's holding and it's bottoming. Does it go back up again? So you're either day trading or doing nothing. And if, right, there's always ifs, because when we don't know, there's ifs. Right? Now, if this turns around and today becomes that, you buy above the highs. That's what we're waiting for. Now, if that doesn't happen, so let's clean up the mess here. I gotta get rid of this. All right, let's get rid of this. Come on, that's part of this. Okay, so now we're in the middle of nowhere. What's going to happen here? Well, I don't know. But what do I know? What I do know is that there's a pivot down there, and it's pivot up there, and it's in a trading range. And what is it going to do? We're waiting for the next bar to form for our signal, if that's forthcoming. Uh, these lows down here is the short-term support. Ed, on the social media channels there, you're asking for two. In the green room here, I was told 10 o'clock. So I'm really not sure. I would assume 10 o'clock, but look, it's coming sometime today. That's what everybody believes. And so we'll just see what it is. And the majority believe, I guess, based on this poly whatever, where people give their suggestions, which has been suggested to be pretty correct. They say that the Supreme Court is going to knock down the tariffs thing, and then we'll see what Trump's going to say from there. Okay, so technically, this market, the Nasdaq is just marking time. That's what's going on, and I don't care how you cut it with trend lines, Ichikumi cloud, whatever, bar by bar analysis. This thing is just stuck and it's beginning to coil, and that displays uncertainty. So now we just look around at other markets and see, is something doing something different. And so what we see here is the Dow still whipping back and forth. Right? It moved up yesterday, it came back down, and now it's a little bit lower. And we look to the left, and it's on swing lows there. Right? It's on a support area. It looks like it's going to come down into there somewhere over there. Maybe it can hold. There's no setup here to do anything. So we're going to be waiting to see what happens. And we just continue the process. So go look at the S&Ps now. And what I see, it poked up to a new all-time high. And now, well, there's the futures. It came back in. Remember a week or so ago, the spiders and SPX were a new all-time high, and these were just hanging here. Which communicated futures traders weren't so anxious to join that party. So there's a bottoming tail bar. Traders bought the dip. Will they buy the dip again? Well, we're going to find out sometime today. If this bar today turns into, you got it, a green bar, we get one of these, we're going to be saying buy. We're going to want to buy. That's the bottom line. If it turns into a red bar, well, how big is the red bar? You know, and it's going to be obvious to everybody. If today is like this, well, you're going to say, well, it's on a pivot. Now what? Now we look for 1, 2, 3. We look to short rallies. We see if Mr. Craziness turns this loony bin right back up again with a new Trump comment. So there's uncertainty now. We need a message from the markets that that uncertainty is over, and we do not have that now. But this is made a higher high. It's made a higher low. You can draw dots on here and look at it. And I showed you this, I guess, Monday or Tuesday, how this was kind of coiling a little bit in a different way. And it's just because it can't get going here. So same message. But we continue to look around. And here we have the Russell, where, this did its jiggle, right? Buyers came in and made a lower high, but a lower low. And you can see the weekly was still positive. So where it pulled back to, and the 20 is equal to the 100 on the daily. Oh, I don't have it on here because I look here and I know, well, there's a 100 MA there if I was to put it, but it's in alignment with a pivot low. And it made this very, very nice rally. It only stalled at the pivot. And yesterday we got a topping tail bar. So this might be intraday an opportunity, but look, when we talk about multiple time frames and we look inside intraday, inside we open up the data, even though something looks similar to us on a higher time frame, it could look very different intraday. And so what we see here is we've got a little upside shakeout, and this is overnight support, which is less meaningful. But if we were to take this away and look at the Russell, you can see here this white area and this white area, it's about in the same place. So you can that's horizontal line, Greg. Down there at 62.20, there would be some intraday support down there, 62.20. And that's, look, it's lined up with these two bars, the lows of those two bars that are in the same spot. All right. Okay. So we move on to other markets. Maybe there's a short setup here, but look, where the news is coming at 10 o'clock, if it is coming at 10 o'clock, it's probably best to just sit on your hands and wait to see what shakes out at that time. All right. So this is what it's a thought process, right? And that's what I labeled in the courses thought process instead of chapters or modules. Creates thoughts. So now Bitcoin is finally taking out these pivots here. What do you do here? Well, you buy it. You do a put spread. The patterns that look like this, it doesn't matter what it is, but this has got room to move up. Will it be affected by some news? Yeah, maybe. Maybe it drives it higher. But so far, it's taking out this area of overhead resistance, suggesting it's going to go up. Ethereum, click it. Yeah, it's got this pivot here, but it should go up with the others. You can connect your dots, breaking out. It's clearing the pivot high there. So buyers should continue to show up there. Crude oil, it's moving up. We're taking over Venezuela. So here we go. Big reversal. Look at the weekly chart. Over here, we're thinking, oh, it can't turn up, come down here, and then the news comes out and it flips back up again. So, the top of the range there. Just a big mess everywhere. Gold making new highs, pushing up, and silver's making new highs, clearing $90. And I had to recheck these numbers on spiders. Go over here. And you see it's just flip-flopping. I think it's got to come down here. That's what I'm thinking. But you see it's at the bottom of yesterday's bar and the green bar, but in an uptrend. So, okay for day traders want to scalp something. As far as this goes, nothing. If you're long, you're long, and you'll see what's going to shake out there. Bottom of the bar, we go to SPX. See how the premiums change. I didn't update that because waiting for the news to see how that would shake out the market if it was going to do that. Yesterday's was up above 7,000, so very enthusiastic call buyers. And this is way down. Way down there. I tell you, option traders are like a schizophrenic woman. Ladies, don't take any offense to that. I did say schizophrenic, but I mean they go from one extreme to the other in a moment. Okay, so there you have it. And prices are down here. So on the news, who knows what's going to happen? Theoretically, down here, if it spikes lower, there's major support down here. Right? That swing low. So 6,900, you got points of defense, so to speak. This is a pivot in a smaller time frame. You can see where my cursor is there on the 65-minute chart. So you got support there. You got a 20 MA. You got a whole number. If it spikes down there, I'm looking for bottoming pattern, some kind of a turn. All yours, Dan. Something going to happen in Iran? Maybe, maybe.
I think it's the writing's on the wall for it. Um, Wait and see here on the terrace. I was thinking we got these black box auto traders based on news and Fed decisions and comments. I would just be so curious to be in the boardroom with them to listen to how they're going to program their boxes to buy and sell based on the decision. Like what sectors, the big thing is retail, that if they're going to get money back, when you trade news, you just got to ask a very simple question to start: who's going to benefit and who's going to get hurt by the news? And then it's kind of a simplified way of fundamental analysis, right? But this XRT is very bullish right here. That's a bull rectangle. This range expansion, dip down, close strong, inside bar. 1, 2, 3 weekly, all-time highs, monthly looks great. Well, it's all-time highs. Gotta look back in time, but it probably is alarms. Ribbon got a downgrade, is gonna move stop 5-minute low. We bought right here, which was a great entry, anticipating this turn. Well, it was a turn, we didn't anticipate. Buy set up on the weekly. Ether, we've been in for a while. We bought. Oh no, we bought this. We bought that breakout, that little gap breakout right there. We bought. Sat through the full entire pullback. And yesterday we said you could add. I said the same thing on IBIT. Yesterday was the day. Entering pullback and reversal and support after a breakout from a bottoming pattern. That's similar to this K-toss that we did here. Breakout, pullback, buy setup, reversal. Wow, we left some money on the table there. We sold ours on a pre-market gap around 112, I think. Wow, that thing kept going. Amazing. Those are all my alarms. I don't have many. And there's a couple earnings here, not many. Like big mess. BAC was up, now down 53.70. Nothing to do. Let's see if XLF sold off yesterday after JP Morgan was up pre-market 54.09, so it's down a little bit more. Spargo, little topping pattern, capping down $2. Call spread if there's any juice. Citigroup. Sloppy. Yeah, maybe Condor. Call spread, put spread. It's sloppy. Sloppy. Cover. Yeah, about another bottoming pattern. I'll keep this one on the list, see if we can make a turn here. Well, that's it on earnings. Let's just go to the interest list here. Car, Milwaukee pullback, WIGME. This is with the Bitcoin stuff moving. Now this is not extended. We also got into this in the ETF yesterday. Big bottoming pattern. And it's not extended. You can buy that or add to it. TCOM, this Chinese company, China said they're going to investigate them. That's a nasty gap. Wow. That's kind of exhibit A of the risk of trading Chinese stocks. You can get some crazy gaps. I'll put it there, just see where buyers want to step up. GCOS, I think, did a preliminary earnings thing, pre-announcement. That's an ugly gap. We're short this SMCI from yesterday. I'll put GCOS down here. Yeah, look at SMCI. We bought puts yesterday on the breakdown. That was perfect. That was a no-brainer setup. Top of India. Another foreign company. There's no setup yet. Some of these hacking stocks are under pressure. And it was a nice bottoming pattern. Over yesterday's high would have been an entry on a bottoming pattern. And this one breaking down, so that could be a 30-minute low trade. I'm reading claim. A Forbes article suggesting SCOTUS puts off bigger opinions till June. Well, whether that's true or not, I think they know that the world is looking at this one. So I think it's going to come out soon. People are thinking today, as Greg mentioned, Hack, here's the ETF. I actually mentioned this on Hack on this breakdown right here. And a lot of these stocks had a beautiful swing short. On Netflix, I read somewhere, journal or somewhere, that maybe they're gonna put an all cash offer for the cable company. And it was perking right into the close. And so I'm assuming that's what's going on there. BMNR, Bitmine, that's a bottoming pattern. I'll keep an eye on that. BMNR. AMCR, someone in the green room mentioned yesterday. I'm gonna wait till after 10 o'clock, but I like that. That's a 1, 2, 3, following a 180 closing breakout, bullish weekly. I'm just gonna wait till 10. See if we get that announcement. Go alarm just went off. Shoot. We got a put spread on that yesterday, but still got room. It's an early alarm. And the video low alarm that we were talking about as a possible short. And the video, today's Wednesday, under Monday's low. So ideally it chops around and then in a 30-minute low will be a good entry on that. Else bottoming pattern. I'll set an alarm at 88.50. There's the AMCR, ACM. It's a sloppy buy setup. WWD is a breakout. That looks good. I'll set an alarm 3:30, spot 60. Iran, where we have a put spread and a directional, but that looks great to add. Another bottoming pattern. Curve. We're already in. We're in a put spread. But yes, I like that. That's a beautiful inverse head and shoulder. There's your head, shoulder, shoulder, neckline. It's beautiful, yeah. It's a we're so let me make sure I have an alarm at 90. Yep, got an alarm at 90. Yep, so I'm already watching it. BMNR alarm, little gap. Hey, that could be a 5-minute high. I know you got those converging MAs right there, but and since the sector is strong, that's a Bitcoin related stock. San Francisco, San Francisco. That was a failed buy setup. Move stop 5-minute low. Dow up alarm, nice. We had a covered call on Dow. Curve up alarm hit 90 and is rocking. That BMNR I mentioned is rocking. Wow, curve is flying. Ideally, they'll stop here and give us a 30-minute high entry. The coin up, it's with Bitcoin strength. We have a put spread on that. That's another nice bottoming pattern. My Qs are taking a dump right now, and I look at my fangs. It's Tesla, Google, Meta. They're all weak. Oh, so new stuff, 248.28. Yeah, Mara and Riot were on the list from yesterday. And Riot was stronger. I think, yeah, LIV broken. Yeah, it's just there's no entry for me. So a lot. And done, yeah, I think they read that in the journal. That's a bad piece of garbage. We are talking about killing early yesterday, but we didn't. There's quite some whiporama here this morning. ACDC. That was Sam's nickname in high school. Thomas, did you know that? Yeah, that's good. Bottoming pattern, nice 15, nice weekly. Sure. I can go to $5. There's a breakout failure. Damn. Put spread on this also. 44, 41.5. Short. Hmm, I'd give it a little more time. I don't think I'm not interested in trading right here. Look at our Dow going. Well, that I think Dow is same sector as that LYB FW. So yeah, that's moving nicely. Wow. AMCR, I said I liked, yeah, shoot, the Gap and Go messed it up. That's one I said I liked yesterday. We were talking about into the close. But the Gap and Go messed it up. Dollar Tree up one, nice. Wow, yeah, this Dow is rocking, man. Too bad we're capping our gains on Dow. We legged into a covered call yesterday. Well, we'll let them have it. Let them take it. It was a little extended, but I love the weekly bottoming pattern and monthly. Go. Curve is coming in. All right, so I can buy 30-minute high. Yeah, let's do it. Green alarm, very nice. 136. We have 2/3 left. Maybe if retail takes off, this, on the tariff news, maybe this thing will rocket to 145 bucks. Bitcoin approaching, that's 96,000. What does a ribbon do?